It's no secret in the hunting scope manufacturing industry that in an attempt to manufacture lighter and cheaper hunting scopes, most scopes made these days are fragile instruments full of plastic parts encased in a tube with paper thin walls on it. While 90% of hunters out there wouldn't even know it if they were using a bad scope, I'm personally the type of person who does tracking and return to zero tests on every scope that I bring out into the field. And over the last 5 years, these tests have really shocked me. Many scopes that I like just wouldn't pass the test. The truth about most modern hunting scopes is that after a couple of seasons of abuse, many scopes no longer track or hold zero properly anymore. In fact, a lot of them won't even track or hold zero properly, or at least to my expectations, right out of the box. I had to stop using Vortex and unfortunately Leupold scopes because many of them ended up having tracking or return to zero issues after a couple of seasons of use. Recently, I've had expensive high-end Leupold hunting scopes arrive bad right out of the box. But fear not, there are some scope manufacturers that still care about durability and reliability with their hunting scopes. And in this video, I'll go into more detail and explain why I think Trijicon is the sweet spot for a durable hunting scope. Every Yahoo and influencer on the internet, including myself, has posted highly subjective videos where we test rifle scope function and reliability and durability. But admittedly, those tests are very subjective most of the time and easily refuted. But there is one gold standard for scope durability tests out there, and that's the so-called rock slide drop test. I won't go into the details of this test, but it starts with a baseline of scope function right out of the box, and it'll slowly progress into worse abuse as the test continues. And often, when a scope fails this test, the tester will get another scope exactly like it and test it a second time just to see if it was a fluke or if it's a common quality issue. But as far as regular hunting scopes go, no Leupold or Vortex hunting scope, and most brands for that matter, have ever passed the rock slide drop test. Many of these scopes are bad right out of the box without even being used yet. The only hunting scopes that consistently pass the rock slide test are hunting scopes from Schmidt & Bender, Nightforce, Trijicon, and even a couple models from SWFA. But Trijicon really stands out in these tests because the entire lineup, I mean, from the $450 Huron scopes up to the $1,300 Credo HX scopes, all pass these independent drop tests, their whole line basically. And unlike other durable hunting scope manufacturers, Trijicon has a huge variety of options in every price range. So, they offer the most diverse variety of durable hunting scopes to the hunter, and they're all extremely tough. So it's pretty much established now that the only consistent survivors in the hunting scope category on the rock slide drop tests are Schmidt & Bender, Nightforce, Trijicon, and SWFA. I'm sorry, guys. Your favorite Swarovski tracked Vortex and Leupold hunting scopes just don't pass these tests, and many of them have been tested. And I just really love my Schmidt and Bender hunting scopes. But, at $3,000 or $4,000 for a hunting scope, it's kind of outrageous for most humans on this planet. The glass on my Polar is probably the best I've ever used in a hunting scope before. It's just exceptional. There's no other word for it. But you're going to pay big money for that. And for a lot of people, it's not the cost isn't worth it. And I get it. Also, Schmidt and Bender's hunting scope lineup is really out of touch for the average hunter. I mean, there's a lot of funky 56 millimeter objective stuff, a lot of first focal plane, which most hunters don't like. They are kind of really out of touch with your average American hunter. They more cater to European hunters that do driven hunts at night. In my opinion, Night Force makes the most durable of all the hunting scopes. Even the budget-minded SHV is terrific, and a couple of the NSX scopes can be pushed into a hunting roll as well. SWFA makes tough and cheap scopes, or reasonably priced scopes, made in Japan, but they really lack the features that most of us want in a hunting scope. These things are more tactically oriented, in my opinion, with really tall turrets that will probably get in your way. First focal plane optics, and most of these have tactical reticles that just have ultra thin crosshairs that hunters tend to not like. Trijicon has a very diverse lineup of hunting scopes, and everything from $450 on up to the $1,300 range. And they've all been drop tested. When other companies kind of started letting quality really slip, especially during the COVID outbreak, Trijicon did just the opposite and decided to make their scopes even tougher. I did a survey on my channel this year asking my subscribers what is the most important attribute of a hunting scope. 63% said durability and reliability is the most important attribute, and 27% said glass quality was the most important attribute of a hunting scope. I did an entire video on the subject in September of this year, and it's really worth watching if you're more interested in this. The bottom line is that glass quality and price doesn't always mean that you get a durable scope. When you spend money on a hunting scope, you are clearly paying for the glass, not durability. Every scope in the top portion of this chart is very durable, and it's easy to see that Trijicon offers superior value compared to the others. Trijicon really is that sweet spot for value in a durable hunting scope. The Huron line from Trijicon is their budget-oriented scopes. And this scope currently sells for $450 online, and it's tougher than any Leupold or Swarovski or Vortex that's probably currently being made. Yes, Rockslide actually tested this cheap-ass $450 scope, and it passed their full drop testing. Like other more expensive Trijicon scopes, the lowly and cheap Huron is tested for temperature extremes and waterproofness. They're also drop, shock, and vibration tested, and they must survive a 5,000 round torture test to confirm that the zero doesn't shift on their scopes. Trijicon is able to keep the price down on these really durable scopes by eliminating illumination and only offering simple reticles. And for the exception of one model, they're mostly fixed parallax scopes as well. The glass in these isn't top tier, so don't expect that, but it's better than any other scope in the $500 price range, by a large margin probably. And It's more durable and reliable than any other scope in this price range. So if you're after a bare bones hunting scope that's reliable and cheap, and illumination isn't important to you, the Huron scope is probably for you. Now let's talk about the Credo and the Credo HX line of hunting scopes. The Credo line basically replaced the old Accupoint scopes, and they were actually upgraded to be even more durable than those old Accupowers were. The Credo line was originally, except for maybe one of their scopes, more of a tactically oriented scope line. But Trijicon quickly stepped up and gave us the Credo HX line of scopes, and the Credo HX line consists of more hunting focused scopes. And these are just fantastic and reliable battery powered scopes that are very legible in all lighting conditions. And the LED lighting in the reticle is fantastic. Trijicon won't tell us the differences in glass coatings between their scope lines, but I personally think that the Credo HX, the glass in it, is better than the Huron glass in low light. So I actually think, even though the glass itself might be the same, I think they use updated coatings on the Credo HX, but I can't confirm that with Trijicon. I don't dial elevation most of the time while I'm out hunting, but if I hunt in an area where I might be dialing for elevation, the Credo HX 2.5 to 15 by 42 is just my go-to scope for that. This thing dials and tracks better than most of my high-end scopes. The clicks are extremely positive, and the reticle subtensions in this are extremely precise. The only problem, in my opinion, with all of the Credo HX hunting scopes is that I feel like the reticles in them are a little bit too thin for most hunting. So Trijicon, if you're watching this video, give us bigger, bolder hunting reticles in the Credo HX line of scopes. Trijicon completely revamped the Accupoint line of hunting scopes several years ago and added models with an updated fiber optic system and better field of view. And I think these Accupoint scopes are a real home run for hunters. I can really tell the difference between the old style Accupoint and the new style, and I just love these scopes. These have dual source illumination on them, both fiber optic and tritium. The illumination kind of self-adjusts as you hunt, so there's just no dials or buttons to mess with while you're hunting with these scopes. And I feel that they're just the ultimate in simplicity and reliability when you're out in the field. A particular note here is, their LPVO, the TR25, the 1:6 scope. I would say in the last 5 years, this has become a staple on dangerous game rifles in Africa. I can't even tell you how many people I know that have taken their old loopholes and Swarovskis off their dangerous game rifles and replaced them with a TR25. So this is now, I feel, the quintessential reliable, tough as nails, dangerous game scope, as far as I'm concerned. But, like other Trijicon scopes in their lineup, the Accupoint is just built like a tank. And it is heavy. You could feel that. And also with this line of scopes, with the Accupoints, they offer some very nice, really bold hunting reticles for this line. The big, bold duplex reticle is perfect for my hunting taste. And I also like the German reticle that they have in the Accupoint line. The only drawback with these scopes is that the tritium will fade with time. In about 12 and a half years, your illumination will be about half as bright as it was when you first bought the scope, and you probably want to get it serviced. And I don't know what the current price for that is, but in 2020, I had the tritium replaced in an ACOG, and they charged me, I think it was about $500. So that's the only drawback to a scope like this. Trijicon does not build any of their optics in China, the Philippines, or Taiwan. All of the Huron, Ascent, Credo, Credo HX, and 10-mile scopes are made in Japan by the most conscientious workforce on the planet. Any optic, though, with tritium in it is either fully made or fully assembled in the United States. And this is because tritium is a radioactive substance, and the complications of importing and exporting it are very problematic. So optics like the ACOG and the VCOG are 100% made in the USA. Accupoint scopes also have tritium in them, so these are fully assembled in the United States using Japanese parts, except for the tritium. You know, this scope does say made in Japan on it, but it's fully assembled in the USA with Japanese parts, you know, just like some of the Night Force scopes are. Also note that whether you buy a $500 Huron scope or a $1,200 Credo HX, you're getting the same high quality parts and components in each of these scopes, regardless of the price. Trijicon is the only company that does this to my knowledge. There's only one downside to Trijicon scopes, and that is their weight. Trijicon scopes are usually heavier than comparable rifle scopes because with durability usually comes weight. These scopes have thick tube walls and beefy metal parts in them, and as scopes get more durable, they generally get heavier in weight. When other hunting scope manufacturers were jumping on the lightweight scope craze and making fragile optics as a result, Trijicon was actually looking for ways to beef up their scopes and make them even more durable. In the end, Trijicon probably offers the best value of any hunting scope brand out there. You're getting a genuine drop tested scope with decent glass, very precise turrets, and very diverse offerings for the hunter across a bunch of different lines, you know, all for basically under $1,000. And nobody else does that. Well, I hope you enjoyed my quick review of Trijicon hunting scopes and that you found this video informative. Thank you for watching, and as always, good hunting.